You're watching TVC Breakfast. It's now time to take a look at stories making headlines on Nigerian newspapers. And I have joining me here in the studio a chartered accountant and public affairs analyst, Sheson Okwade. Good to see you this morning.
Good morning, my brother. Thank God it's Friday.
Thank God it's Friday.
And let me wish all Muslim faithful, at least the Ramadan is on now,
Absolutely.
the fasting is on.
Absolutely.
God will grant the strength and answer all our requests.
Thank you very kindly. Yeah. All right, and via Zoom is the chartered mediator and conciliator, Chris Kende Wande. Thank you so much. Good to see you this morning.
Thank you, my brother. Good morning. It's nice to be here this morning.
Absolutely. All right. First is the leadership newspaper. PMB shocks states, local government areas, the fair new sharing formula. RMAFC proposes for the 5.17% for federal government, states 29.7%, local government areas 21.04%. President Buhari seeks approval to borrow more for 7.3 trillion naira budget deficit. Daily Sun is next. States, local governments to earn more than federal government in new revenue formula. We can't implement it now, says President Buhari. And right below the, towards the end of the newspaper, the bottom end, Bola Ige, I'll be delighted to go to court. That's according to Professor Wole Soyinka. This Nigeria insecurity. Gunmen raise Soludo's Agwata local government secretariat. Kill governor's kinsman. In Kaduna, bandits abduct customs officer. SON 8 others. Wow, that's this Nigeria. Blueprint is next. As Autumn Committee's report on zoning hangs, crisis looms. Chieftain drags PDP, Atiku to court. The rider reads, warns ex-VP barred from presidential primaries. Committee's report jettisoned. That's Blueprint newspaper there. This day newspaper is next. Be firm, fair to all party members. President Buhari charges APC chairman, says he will continue to entrench democratic principles in governance. Adamo, I'm now in charge. We'll see what comes out of that at the end of the day. So next is the Punch newspaper. National Assembly fights Malami back. Appeals Electoral Act judgment. President Buhari's ministers await final verdict. Puts 2023 ambitions on hold. Lawan gives aides planning to contest ultimatum to resign. Omagege's men comply. Cross River APC asks Ayade's men to resign. Bauchi governor orders aides to step down. That's the Punch newspaper there. Vanguard newspaper is next. Terrorists to federal government, talk to us or we'll kill all 167 captives. 167 passengers still in captivity, says government should hasten to meet us before we turn this place into an abattoir. Abductors have collected 250 million naira ransom so far. That's a bit of a scary newspaper headline there. The Nation newspaper is next. Attacked train. Families of abducted passengers protest. My expectant sister, husband with terrorists, protesting pastors seek bombing of bandits. Defense headquarters to Nigerians, don't despair. Wow. The Guardian newspaper is next. Ige's murder. I'm willing to go to court, says Professor Soyinka. And the writers read, Falana offers free legal service, says Soyinka exercised his freedom of expression. APC, Buhari insensitive. Oh, well, and we will never campaign for. Okay, I think I really can't see that clearly. But next is the Tribune newspaper. Oil theft. Nigeria loses $1.5 billion in 3 months. We must have special courts to try those behind this business. That's according to Kyari. Wants EFCC and FIE to track illicit fund. Reps asks President Buhari to declare state of emergency on crude oil theft. The penultimate paper that I have here, okay, not the penultimate, the Daily Trust is next. Pressure mounts on Pinnick to resign over Qatar 2022 failure. He ought to have resigned long ago. Senate summons embattled president, sports minister, and third-term ambition in jeopardy. News Direct is next. Debt profile. Federal government to finance budget deficit with new borrowings. as experts predict Nigeria's bankruptcy before end of fourth quarter. National economy is next. Federal government's shift to local borrowing may eliminate forex fluctuations. Move to bridge 7.4 trillion naira budget deficit will strengthen capital markets. That's experts saying that. And the last but not the least here is business day. Petrol generator demand spikes on high diesel price. Petrol generator demand spikes on high diesel price. That's business day. Let's get into what the newspapers are saying this morning. I'll begin with the Vanguard newspaper, the Human Angles story here. Chris Kende Wando, I'll start with you on Zoom. Terrorists to federal government, talk to us or we'll kill all 167 captives and 167 passengers still in captivity. Says government should hasten to meet us before we turn this place into an abattoir. What do you make of this newspaper headline?
It's scary, very scary. Personally, I didn't know that we have that high number of people captured by the terrorists during that attack. I know that the NRC ruled out certain numbers, the number of dead, those that have been identified so far, and they were a bit hesitant in giving the accurate figure of those that were captured. Only that they cannot, just saying that they were not accounted for. But from what we are hearing and what we are seeing and what we are reading, it's so obvious that over 167 have been captured and they are captive. And the question I ask myself, how were they able to carry this high number of people at the same time? Is it through vehicles? They came with trucks, or they just marched them into the forest? And how come they're able to get that high number? And that is, to me, is the tragedy of the moment, is the situation we find ourselves, where we have just practically going into a system where the lives and properties of Nigeria are no longer secured. People cannot move by road. That is being made impossible. People cannot move by air, especially into places like Kaduna. And now the rail is being attacked. You are being attacked by air, being attacked on the road, and being attacked by the rail. The next one probably is going to be by sea. Then we've gone a whole round circle. As it were now, in as much as government have always said that they will be able to negotiate, I am not one of those that believe that negotiation, government should be negotiating with terrorists as it were. But the lives of Nigerians are stake, and we must do everything humanly possible to make sure that each and every single person that was captured by these bandits get released. Whatever it's going to take, we must do it. We have no choice now. Don't forget, just I know that yesterday, one of the national papers also published that 11 of the students that were captured in part of the north have not been released. Barely close to about 10 months now. And nobody's saying anything about that. We've practically forgotten that those children are still within the capture of the terrorists. And this to me is so worrisome. And somebody is coming on air to tell us that Nigeria is safer. That a Minister of Information was quoted as saying that. It wasn't even quoted. He said that. Let us look at the parameters between if this is what we had before 2015 when this government took over. And one of the primary responsibility of government, as I've always said, is to secure the lives and property of the people. And then the government that fails to do that practically has lost it and has lost every right to remain in government. Once again, I'll call on the federal government and all those in charge to do everything humanly possible to make sure that these 167 Nigerians that are under the captivity of the terrorists are released.
Right, let me bring you to the studio. We understand that Bank of Agriculture acting MD allegedly paid 100 million naira to secure release, and abductors have collected 250 million naira ransom so far. These guys have turned this thing into serious business and becoming so emboldened that they make that money and go ahead and buy ammunitions.
Before now, the federal government have always been saying that there is no ransom being paid anywhere. But the activities we see on daily basis depicts that these guys are richer even than there's some states with some of the ransoms that they collect here and there. I was wondering, like Chieftain said, I never had the understanding that the people that were captured were up to 167. And these are not children, I think while we're talking about those of the schools, then 200, 300, we are like, okay, maybe they can put them together in a truck or wherever. You ask yourself the question, but these are elderly people. These are aged people. These are people that you cannot just squeeze somewhere. And you ask yourself the question, how did this happen? So if you look at the perspective of saying the acting MD was, when that thing happened, I spoke to a friend. I said, well, money has changed hands. The people that have the money actually is out, because they came with the ISQ and said, based on the season of Ramadan, they had to release that. And I asked myself the question, is he the only Muslim faithful there? But the truth is, something has, and thank God that we are coming out that a ransom of 100 million was paid by that. He has the wherewithal to do that, I'm sure. But what is the fate of an average Nigerian who goes about their normal business to earn their daily living, when the primary responsibility of the government is to secure us, to make sure that we are safe to carry out the normal business? So, if you look at the antecedents, the 167, if the family are unable to make available funds as requested by those people, we might have another 1 year of them staying in there. You read what they said yesterday. Some of the students that were taking 11 months, over years, are still in the captive of the people. Those that were being, released are based on negotiation and ransom being paid to them. So you imagine if within 1 week, because this thing happened like last 2 weeks, Monday ago, they have earned over 350 million. So imagine why people will not venture into it. And it's because we have said, you have not lift this on the board by making sure that those that are actually being, picked as so-called repentant bandit or terrorist, that you are giving amnesty to and giving them some of the palliative to go and buy generator, give them vehicle. You are emboldening more people to go into the venture.
Right.
So they must make a decisive something to make sure that as you pick on them, I keep saying it, let's do capital. When you reduce the number, it will serve as deterrent. We can't continue like this. This 167, to me, they might be there for as long as you can talk about if their family is not ready to, because we've seen the antecedents. Several of those that were taken years back, we still have the problem of the Chibok girls.
Right. Chieftain, just Monday, a few days ago, we were talking about the blockage, the barring of SIMs that are not linked to their the name SIM linkage. So we tend to ask questions: how do these people collect this money? What line, what phone numbers do they make these calls with? What network are they using? How do they collect this money? What cash? Is it in cash? Or, all of these questions. So they tend to not add up that what is the need to bar SIMs or to link our SIMs to our name in the first place?
Yes, my brother, the way you're asking, as if I have all the knowledge on how they are going about this. I'm just a journalist like you. So it's just, we can only assume.
It's just thinking aloud. What do you think?
Yes, I understand you. On a much serious note, this is a well-organized group. This is a well-organized terrorist group. And I believe that these guys are just too smart than we are giving them. They are smarter than we thought. And if you look at the way that they organize themselves, the way they go about these things, you will know that this is a well-organized group. A group that could go and block, that know when the train is coming, blow up the rail track to be able to stop the train from moving. This is not just a ragtag group, bandits, as we thought. These are terrorists. And when you talk about the issue of linking up, we have issues with this. Severally, the federal government has said numbers should be linked so that we'll be able to. And I continue to ask myself, how do these guys get the numbers that they use in making the calls? Is it not from this network? I'll give you a practical example. One of my lines was bad immediately that announcement was made. And even though I have already linked it severally, I was told that I cannot make call, I can receive. my network sent me an SMS that I should do the following and put my name and to the line will come, and I did it. Within 24 hours, they released that line, and that goes to show that yes, everybody can have their phone or SIM registered. The fact remains that this information can always be made available to the security agencies. The question you ask yourself: are they really making those numbers available? Because with those numbers, with that network, you can be able to trace where these guys are. Each SIM card is linked to a base station. Where you are presently, if you can make a call, that means there's a base station around you there, which you are using to make your call. If you move away from there to another place, you pick up another base station, and with that, they can easily get across. So I feel that there might be. I just believe that there's a kind of communication breakdown, probably between our network providers and the security agencies, and they should be working in sync so that we can be able to trace some of the. It's not that they are not traceable. Now that everything has been linked, then they are supposed to link it. So it will be easier for us to be able to trace where. But do we have also the political will to do what we are supposed to do? Just as Sheson said, don't forget, a few months back, the AGF came out to tell Nigerians that we have about 400 alleged suspects, terrorist suspects that were arrested and they were put on trial. How many of them have been tried? The Minister of Information also came out to give us such information that we have people that were sponsoring these terrorists. Some of them have been arrested. How many of them have been put on trial and dealt with? So about a year or so, something happened in UAE. 5 people were identified as these sponsors of Boko Haram. Within a week, the UAE government rounded up this guy, tried them, and got them jailed. But what is happening here? We are playing big. So most often than not, we continue to blame the military not doing enough. These guys are trying their best. They are trying their best. But how will you feel as an individual when the person you arrested for killing, for doing all sorts of illegal activities, get released under the obligation that they are repentant and rest of that? It does not help, man. I believe that we should be able to go after this guy. There must be some people that are really sponsoring this guy. It's not just them. I believe there are some big, just as the NDLA is doing now. You can see what is happening in the NDLA and what Brigadier Marwa is doing at NDLA. It wasn't like this before, but you see the work is doing. The military, our military, should be up and doing now, so that it's not just every single time everything happens. The president called service chiefs to the villa, give them a marching order, and they march to nowhere. We go back to square one. That is not to go about it. And lastly, let me mention this: are we having the necessary intel to work? Intelligence is key in every security operation. You don't just carry AK-47 or carry Tucano and saying bomb them. It is not like that. How do we preempt these attacks? Not just after the attacks we start reacting. How do we preempt this attack from happening? And this is what we're supposed to be doing.
Right, absolutely. Let's change tack. It's a lot that we can talk about when it comes to insecurity in the country, especially in Africa as well. But let's change tack by looking at what leadership is reporting this morning. President Muhammad Buhari shocks states, local governments, the fair new sharing formula. RMAFC proposes 45.17% for federal government, states 29.7%, local government areas 21.4%. And the president also seeks approval. I think we'll take that separately. So what do you make of this sharing formula?
Yeah, let me give kudos to Ramfak. I was part of the delegation on their visit to Lagos. They visited all the states, the regions, to actually have the stakeholders engagement on the sharing formula, and several states put their position together. I think the one for the Western region was done in Lagos, which I was part of. Let me give kudos to them, because they gave their words that they will definitely sit down and consider some of the things that most of the states are raising, because the issue that was raised was that can we reduce the stuff that goes to the central and give power to the state and the local government, which is the grassroots, for people to benefit the importance of governance. So, but what is shocking is for the president to say he's going to defer days when he actually gave the marching order to this agency, and everybody was having this aspiration. I think I would want to say the federal government at this level, this issue of deferring practically everything. Remember the implementation of the fuel subsidy was deferred to June, May 2023. I'm sure these two is been, we can't continue to defer everything. At least let's give a sign of relief. When people have actually sat down, expend some of our money to get some of these things out. Because this is, for me, a win-win situation. The state and the local government are being empowered more to give more. I'm very sure in the next few years we can still go ahead and remove and reduce some of the things that, so that the largesse that go to the central can be reduced and we can have more benefit to the states, because that's where the people really lies. How many people have control? Then we can relieve. We've asked. I'm sure I've not read the details. Part of the thing is that some of the things that are on the exclusive list should actually be reduced. Bring them to the concurrent list, where the state can have the power. Take, for example, the issue of generation of power and all those things that are up there. Bring it to the state, let everything, so that we can hold our state government accountable for some of this thing. But I have to give this to Ramfak. This was done within a few months back, and we are having the results. I feel the president will not defer this too long, so that at least we can have a relief of what we've been having, yearning about, and people can have a benefit of good governance at the state level.
All right, let me take it back to Chieftain. Chieftain, part of the constitution reviews that have been submitted to different states is the local government autonomy. So do you think this will mean something, it's going to impact greatly, looking at what Daily Sun reports, saying states, local governments to earn more than federal government in new revenue formula. But the president says we can't implement it now.
Well, the president is starting to Mr. Postponement, and that is the body language we are getting. Everything is being postponed. It's obvious that the president is practically winding up his time in office. If everything, we have to wait for next year when he'll be leaving office. He should be able to do the needs.
It may not be in proper context to say he's Mr. Postponement, because they are in power. They understand, the plus and minuses, the addition and subtractions. So they might have their own reason. They've got insight more than we do.
Whatever reason the president, we don't want true reason. The fact is that we want implementation of policies that will improve the lives of Nigerians. So if that policy is going to improve the life of Nigerians, why should we be postponing it? We don't need to do that. I feel that for them to have set up that committee, they have a reason and they have a time frame to get implementation. So supposing they move it to the next government and the government that comes in doesn't implement it and jettison it, what happens? That is what happened to the Constitution Conference that was there under Goodluck Jonathan. Instead of him to have signed up on that Constitutional Conference and make sure that implementation started, he was waiting for his next step. And did he get it? He didn't get it. That is part of the reason why we are where we are today. So we cannot continue to postpone just because the president feel that the next government or whatever. To me, back to your question, yes, there is a need for. I'm one of those of the school of thought that believe that the federal government is getting more than its shares of the revenue. I think the federal government is getting about 51% or so of the revenue, and the state, that is the state of federation and FCT, including the 774 recognized local government now, we have to do with 49%. That in itself is not good enough. The local government should be made autonomous. That is the grassroots. That is where you reach the people. There are so many issues that has to be taken care at the local government level. But even at that, let's even look at the federal government. The state government are not even helping matters at all. You see that the funds made for the local government are being hijacked by the state government, and they just give us stipends to the local government to work with. Apart from collecting their own, they are also collecting that of the local government. And that, I think this should be more explicit. We have 3 layers of government: federal, state, and local government. The local government is practically dead. I know what is also happening. The state government, through their agencies, now control everything about the local government, including the election into the local government, whereas a ruling party holds a state election for the holds a local government election and wins all the local governments. No single opposition party will get anything. That goes to show, which means that those elected cannot even breathe, they cannot even talk. Whatever they're giving is what they work with. So it is not easy for us to continue to go on this. If we're able to empower the local government enough, some of these issues that is bottling on, that is weighing down the state government and the federal government, will be done at the local government. So I believe, and I'm of the school of thought, that the issue of local government should be revisited. And apart from that, I am also of the support that states should not be holding local government election. Let us go to what we used to have in those days, where INEC conduct local government election, so that we can have some level of transparency in this system. By so doing, we'll be able to bring up the best of the best under the circumstances and grow this democracy. But once again, I feel that the president should look at those recommendations that have been made, so that implementation can, they don't need to implement everything, they can start from somewhere. By the way, government is a continuum. When another government comes in, they just continue from where they stopped.
All right, very quickly, your final thoughts, just very under 1 minute. We are going at borrowing again, that according to News Direct, that the debt profile for the government to finance budget deficit with new borrowings. Just very briefly. Yeah,
well, this we keep saying. The one we've borrowed, how much have we monitored to make sure that they are judicially used for what it is? The truth is, from the financial perspective, we seems to be impoverished the future generation with all this borrowing. And like it's been said there, maybe very soon we go into bankruptcy. Remember, majority of this borrowing, like we keep saying, are used for consumables, which in accounting terms is really not it. You are borrowing money to subsidize subsidy, to subsidize fuel. You are borrowing money to do other consumable things, but we are not having it. Even the infrastructure we're talking about that we are borrowing, insecurity is taking them off our hand. So when you look at some of those things, it's a threat. Federal government should look inward than giving all this borrowing, considering the future of our generation.
Absolutely. Thank you very kindly. Chartered Accountant and Public Affairs Analyst, Sheson Kwande, and via Zoom has been Chartered Mediator and Conciliator, Chris Kende Wando. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time on Newspaper Review this morning.
Thank you very much. I do have a nice day.